is up, lovers of budget cars and bikes? Welcome back to the channel and to something a little bit different. We are today going to start the mods. I'm hoping this is going to be of some interest to you guys. I have seen a couple of videos on how to do what we're going to do today, but I wanted to make my own, one for my own reference and two as an updated video, as it were, because most of the ones that I've seen are relatively old now, so we're going to try and do this in high definition, maybe even 4K. So essentially what we're going to try to do here today, guys, is we're going to try to take this cover off here, loosen off these in the middle, and then in amongst there, I'm hoping you can see, bear with me, I'm on my knees, but just in here there's another couple of washers and nuts, and basically what we're going to do is take this entire link pipe here out and take it out of here as well. Now the reason we're going to take it out of here, I know a lot of people, they just literally undo it there because it stops the valve from opening and closing, and it keeps it open all the time, which gives you a much deeper kind of exhaust tone, which is nice. But this moves, basically. It's got a little kind of little motor inside there, and then that moves every time you sort of turn the ignition on. That'll open and close the valve to make sure everything's working. If you simply undo it over here, that motor will still work, so it means it's basically pulling these wires backwards and forwards every time you turn the ignition on, which, as you can imagine, isn't a great idea. So what I'm going to do is literally remove, I'm going to keep the box in there obviously and to keep the wiring in, so all that will happen is the motor will turn, but there'll be no wires to turn, so nothing will get tangled up. My fear is obviously if I leave that in there with the motor and it's just pulling these all the time, every time I turn the ignition on, that's not going to be a good thing. So I'm going to try to get this cover off, take these two nuts off at this end here, take the two nuts off in here as well, and just take these cables completely away. And what we're going to do now is we're going to quickly do a stock exhaust sound, as in the Aprilia stock exhaust, and then we're going to disconnect the valve, do another video without the valve, as in what's it sound like with the flapper valve delete, and then we're going to put the new exhaust on and we're going to do a sound check with that as well. So stand by, let's get on with this. Okay, so we've now finally got this little piece off here. This is the cover for this little motor here, as I was saying. And as you can see, it's like a clutch brake cable kind of affair, basically. It'll go into there with a little bar, and there's forward and back, basically, on there to open and close the shutter valve, as it were, the exhaust valve. These are the two little nuts here you have to undo if you're just going to take off the cables at this end. I've also WD-40'd the little nuts here, and I'm hoping this is going to come straight off. And as I said, what we're going to do is leave this motor in but take off this. I might try and do it on time lapse. The one thing I would say is it's a good idea just to take out these two little bolts in here. This is for the Tuono, obviously. I can't, because there's so much paint on my thing, I can't see what size that is, so I do apologise, but these two little bolts down here that holds in this part of the lower belly pan. Just take those off, it'll pull this out of the way and it'll make it easier to then get this out of the way. That's just literally one bolt, as you can see, holding that on, and it goes straight into there, so that's not a problem at all. That is an 8mm, I believe. So we're going to crack on now and see if we can get these cables out. I might do it on time lapse for you to make it a bit more interesting. One thing I'll say, guys, about this is that bolt there is incredibly tight for some odd reason. Anyway, it is done. Don't forget to pop these little pipes in underneath here when you clip that back in, and obviously this should, in theory, go straight back where it came from. That's the theory, but as I'm sure we know, see, there we go, I've managed to balls that up already, because you've got to get that little clip into that little clip. There we go. But I've got to say, working on this Aprilia so far has been an absolute piece of cake. I'll show you the pipes in a minute, or pipes, the lines as it were. We've got them here. This is the bit, I'm hoping you can see because I can't see the screen now. These are the bits that go in underneath here basically. It's two 8mm bolts, as you can see, there, and you just literally loosen those off and then that'll pop out and you can take the lines out the back, and then you just watched me take them out of the little motor which sits underneath here. That little motor will obviously turn like it's supposed to, but now there's no lines there to kind of get snagged up in it, and you won't get any warning lights on the dash either, so that's kind of useful. So we're going to put it back together and do a quick sound check with the flapper valve delete done. One thing I would say, which is quite odd, although I suppose it's not really that odd if you consider what we've just done, is the throttle is basically a lot more responsive now, and you've literally got to touch it with your finger and it's revving up straight away, which it wasn't doing it quite that sensitively yesterday. So that's something to think about. It's going to be interesting to ride this because I have heard stories that removing the flapper valve can cause low speed running issues, but we'll look into that. We're going to do it, and we can always put it back because those little cables there, you saw how easy they were to take off. We could put them back if we needed to. We'll work it out. We'll go for our ride after we've done all the mods, and we'll work it out from there. So I've had a chance now, guys, to take this bike out for a ride, or 2 or 3, with the exhaust flap done, as in deleted there. You'll see we've already done that in this video. And it's not running lean, it's not running rich, it's not burbling, it's not stumbling around in traffic. It sounds bloody epic, I have to say. It really does make a difference, just deleting, well, not deleting the flap per se, but just making sure that, obviously, taking the cables out here so it doesn't close. So it's open all the time, and it has made a brilliant difference as well. You can really hear it kind of kicking in now all the time. It just sounds bloody awesome. So yes, I would recommend it. No, for me at least, on this 1000 APRC V4, it hasn't had any adverse effects. So yeah, do it, but by all means. It doesn't cost you anything, it doesn't throw up any lights on the dash, and it sounds epic. So I'm hoping that helped, and if it did, consider subscribing, because we're going to try and do a few more of these little mods for bikes in the future. So again, give the video a thumbs up, like, share, and subscribe, all that good stuff. And thanks for watching. I really hope it helps.